What's up, everybody? Welcome to another delicious edition of Plant-Based Cooking with your host, Chef Ed Harris. Alright, let me turn down the music real quick so we can get this party popping. Alright, welcome. Alright, what's up, people? We're back. The music is down. You know how those copyright situation goes. We don't want no issues. We don't want no problems. Whoo! Alright. Like I said, welcome back. It's been a hot minute. You know, I've been traveling, so I haven't been able to do my cooking videos like I normally do or like I want to do. But please believe it, I haven't forgotten about you. We're here. All right, right now, today, it's time for us to make some mac and cheese, right? You know, these are one of the things my kids love. You know, I love to eat. You know, and before I went vegan, you know, mac and cheese was like, you know, in the Caribbean, we do some serious mac and cheese, right? So being plant-based, I get to do a similar version, right? And one of the things to pay attention to when you're trying to be plant-based or when you're plant-based is that you need to come up with very creative ways to impart flavor into your dishes, right? And what do I mean by that? It's like, normally, if you are not vegan and you're making mac and cheese, all you need is cheese, butter, heavy cream, milk, macaroni. That's it. You know, cheese, salt and pepper, a little bit of mustard maybe, and like you're good. But when you're plant-based, you can kind of still do that, but I try not to lean so much on the heavily processed stuff, you know, so my cheese is very little, not a lot. So I have some vegan cheddar cheese here. I have some vegan parm here. Not too much, very little. But then I have a bunch of other things that I'm gonna show you that's gonna impart even more flavor. So I have a touch of lemon juice. We have onions, garlic, nutritional yeast, chili flakes for a little bit of heat, not too much. These are bay leaves, and I give these special attention because these actually came all the way from St. Lucia. So they are so beautiful, they're flavorful, the aroma, everything about them is just on 1000, all right? It's not the stuff that you get in the supermarket that's been sitting on the shelf in the warehouse for a millennia before it gets to your house, you know what I mean? Then we have some cauliflower, which is gonna help our cheesy sauce give it some body, right? And also, all the beautiful pluses that you get from the cruciferous vegetable that is cauliflower, right? And then last but not least, right in here, I have a little mix of spices, right? We have smoked paprika for that smoky, cheesy goodness. We have garlic powder, onion powder, and of course, last but not least, just to help with the color, I have some turmeric in here. And my turmeric is actually from St. Lucia as well. I was just in St. Lucia this past year for a month. And please believe me, I got a bunch of amazing ingredients to bring back home. All right? And then we have some veggie broth right here, right? That we're gonna help build our sauce with. So I got my water on. All right, I'm gonna add just a little bit of oil. My bad. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt. All right? Because we want to make sure our pasta has, you know, a fighting chance. You know what I mean? So that's that. And let's get a saute pan going so we can actually get this stuff where it needs to be. All right? All right, people, let's do this. So I have my pan on. All right, my water is ready for my pasta. So I like to mix up my pasta. I have two very similar styles of pasta. I have rigatoni and ziti. All right? But you can do farfalle, you can do rigatoni, you can do elbow, you can do whatever you want, right? Because like Chef Tabitha says, that's your business. You know what I mean? So we're gonna do a mixture of the two. Okay, let's combine these for later on. Boom, let's get this one that fell out of here. Okay, get rid of the box. Okay. We got some really delicious extra virgin olive oil from Emblem. All right, these are my peeps. Chastity, shout out to her. She has really good extra virgin olive oil, so not a lot, all right, just enough for us to sweat our aromatics. And what are aromatics? See, I'm so hot, you know, but that's what happens when you're in the kitchen. Things catch on fire and you just keep it moving, you know what I mean? So into our lightly warm olive oil, onions, garlic, and our bay leaves, okay? And we're gonna just sweat this. We don't want any color, we just want this to be translucent, okay? So I'm gonna put that back over the fire. I'm gonna add just a little bit more olive oil in there, okay? And then we're gonna give this a little toss. Stir it around just a little bit. Where's my wooden spoon? Whoops. Get that back in there. And we're gonna just turn that down and let that go nice and slow. Let's give our pasta a little stir, because when you add pasta, right, to your boiling water and you don't stir it, it sticks. Alright, so you want to make sure that you give it a nice little mix so everything is nice and loose, so that way once it starts cooking, you're gonna be fine. Alright? So the object here is to develop flavor, and that's what we're doing. Alright? Let's get these burnt pieces of thread out of here. So next up will be our chilies, then our cauliflower, our stock, and then all of the other stuff, right? So while that's sweating, I just want to remind you, plant-based cooking can be as easy as you want it to be. It's just a matter of thinking about what it is that you're gonna make and just going for it, all right? If you're one of those people where you're very technical and you have to have everything, you need to know what you're doing, then find a recipe that you really like and try it out. You know, sometimes recipes work, sometimes they don't, you know, because there's a lot of recipes out there on the internet and not everyone is good. All right, so the best way to win is to just try them out, okay? All right, people, our onions and garlic have sweated enough. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add our chili flakes and we're gonna add our cauliflower. Right? I just added about 2 cups of cauliflower. All right. I'm gonna just stir this up a little bit. Now I'm gonna add my veggie broth. Let's say a cup and a half, right? And I just turn the flame all the way up, and we're gonna bring this to a boil, right? In the meantime, we're gonna get the rest of our sauce ready. So into this pot, I'm gonna add my butter. And what this is for, it's for my roux. All right, so I added about 4 tablespoons of butter. All right, I'm gonna put this over the fire and let it melt slowly. And I'm gonna grab my all-purpose flour. A roux is what a lot of people use to thicken gravies and sauces with. So a roux is really nice when you are plant-based and you're trying to make a sauce nice and thick. It goes really well. So we're gonna add a little bit of flour to our melted butter, and we're gonna create a delicious roux that we're gonna then add to our veggie broth cauliflower situation and combine it and make this beautiful velvety sauce for our macaroni. All right? Stay tuned. So our butter is fully melted, right? Fully melted. Now we're gonna add in our flour, all right? And we're adding about the same amount of flour, okay? The more flour you add, the thicker this is gonna be. We don't want it to be, we want it to literally be almost like, what would it be, like wet cement, wet sand, right? Like, see? Like this, okay? And we're gonna bring this back to the fire. And what we're looking for is for it to cook out, right? For the flour to cook out, okay? And then there are different stages of roux. There's a blonde roux, there's a brown roux. All right, we are gonna go right in the middle. We don't want it too dark because that's not the color we're looking for our cheese sauce, all right? Remember, we want it to be nice and light and yellow. So we're not gonna go very dark with our roux, all right? So once this cooks out just a little bit, we're gonna turn it off. Let's step over to our cauliflower situation. And what we're gonna do with this is we're gonna take out our bay leaves, right? Because they've served their purpose, because we're gonna blend all of this stuff. And we could blend the bay leaves, but we're not going to. We're gonna take them out. And right in here, while that's low, we're gonna add our plant-based milk, all right? And we're adding about 2 cups of milk because we want this to be nice and cheesy. All right. We're gonna bring this up to a boil. Once again, our roux is bubbling. Okay, so we can turn this off. Right, you see? Right, very thick, a little thicker than heavy cream consistency, like about honey, I would say. All right. Now let's add some fresh cracked black pepper to this. Recipes are cool and they're great for when you're first starting out. But once you're familiar enough with ingredients and dishes, it's all about feeling, right? So I will look at recipes even with my over 20 plus years of experience. I will still look at recipes, but it's more of to just give me ideas, and then I kind of just go with my feeling, you know, my gut, my heart, you know, what I'm feeling at the moment. That's kind of how I like to cook, right? Because honestly, I don't like following recipes. And I guess that's kind of my thing with rules, you know. I don't like rules, you know. I don't like so much to be told what to do. So I kind of feel the same way about recipes, you know. So that's why there are no measurements, right? It's all about feeling. I'm going to give you the idea. I'm going to give you the basis. I'm going to give you the ingredients. And I want you to go out there and make it your own. All right. So we're waiting for our milk to come to a boil. Let's check our pasta. It's almost ready. And when I cook my pasta for mac and cheese, I like to go with a little less water so that starch can really cook and be on the pasta, because all of that really helps your dish. You know what I mean? Even when you're doing pasta and tomato sauce, like, it's a good idea to not use a bunch of water to cook your pasta, all right? Because you're getting rid of a lot of flavor. Almost ready. All right, we have our roux, we have our pasta cooking. It's almost there. We're waiting for our milk to come to a boil. We can add a little bit of salt to this now, all right? And the salt that I'm adding is just enough to give the milk some flavor, all right? Because we're still gonna add mustard, we're still gonna add nutritional yeast, Parmesan cheese, and cheddar. All of those add to the salt element. So I wanna wait until all of these things are in the sauce before I season it completely, all right? Gotta think about that, all right? Think about the ingredients that you're using. If any of them have high sodium or just some sort of sodium to them, then you always want to adjust how much salt you actually add to the recipe. You dig? Okay. And for mac and cheese, your pasta needs to be like fully cooked. This is not the time to do al dente pasta, all right? Because it's mac and cheese. It's gonna get baked again, all right? So you wanna make sure your pasta is fully cooked, okay? Okay, our milk is sort of simmering. All right, let's taste it. See what the salt level is like. It's already delicious. There's a pinch of heat from the chilies, the chili flakes. Whoa. See that? So if you're ever boiling milk or pasta or anything like that and it looks like it's about to boil over and create a massive mess, turn off your flame immediately and just kind of blow gently on it. It will dissipate. It will kill the bubbles and all the foam and it'll be perfect. All right, so I'm gonna turn this off because the milk is where it needs to be. It has a nice flavor to it. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually create the sauce, all right? All right, so pasta's ready. I just poured it out into a colander, strainer, whatever you wanna call it, and I reserved some of the liquid just in case we need it, all right? Now, I have my blender ready. I'm gonna start adding this stuff into my milk, all right? All that's in, my nutritional yeast is in with all of the spices. And we're gonna just give this a nice gentle stir. All right, bring it up to a boil real quick. This way we can introduce all of the flavors into the milk. And once this comes to a boil again, we turn it off. All right, because we want it to come to a boil so we can activate all of the beautiful flavors from the dry spices. All right, you want to make sure the back of your spoon doesn't have a bunch of spices in it or on it. All right, we're gonna pour all of this into our blender. Now, rule of thumb, when you're blending anything that's super hot, you definitely don't want to fill your blender all the way up. The steam that it creates from being covered will pop your lid and you'll end up with a massive mess or really bad burn. Okay, so you want to do a little bit of liquid at a time. All right, and let me get a container to put this into after we blend it. That way we can keep going. All right, we got our bowl to put our blended stuff into. Blender is plugged in. Make sure when you're blending that your blender is completely turned off before you put anything on it and turn it on, okay? Trust me, I've made that mistake many times and I'm helping you so you don't make that mistake. All right, we're gonna put this on 1, turn it on very slowly. You see all that steam coming up? That's what we don't want with this all the way up, all right? Gently increase the speed. All right, you want to gently increase the speed so that way you don't create this massive surge of heat that pops your lid. All right, once it's blended, it smells amazing. All right, nice and smooth. All right, now let's get the rest of this in here. And you see the color? It's beautiful, right? Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, we're gonna keep this pot because this is what we're gonna use for our sauce. So we're not gonna get rid of it just yet. All right, put the lid back on here. And remember, start slow. Start slow. And then gradually increase the speed. Reduce the speed all the way down. Turn it off completely. All right, so whatever's on the top will drip down. All right, pour this. We can pour this right back into the pot since we're gonna create our sauce right now. add this back into the pot. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I'm telling you, you make this for anybody that you know. You don't even need to tell them that it's vegan. You just say, hey, I made some mac and cheese. I tried a new recipe. Tell me what you think. They're gonna be like, oh wow, it's actually pretty good. What did you make it with? And then you can go into what you used. You know what I mean? So make sure we scrape everything out. All right, we don't want to waste. All right, we don't want to waste. Okay. So now that we have that, we need a whisk. Right? We need a whisk because of what we're gonna be doing next. Okay? So we want to make sure that we can mix this thoroughly. Okay? We put this back on the stove. We turn on the fire. All right? We have our roux. You see, it cooled down a little bit, but you see how thick it got? This is the viscosity. Right? The viscosity is, like I said, wet sand. You know what I mean? And we might not even need all of this. All right, that's the beauty about a roux. Like, you use very little at a time until you develop the consistency that you actually want your sauce or your gravy to be. All right, so never just dump your whole mix of roux into whatever it is that you're making, because you might end up with a situation that you don't want. All right, so we're gonna put this to the side. We're gonna wait for this to come to a boil, because you never wanna create your roux while it's cold, because you're not gonna know the actual true thickness of your sauce until it gets hot. All right, so while that's coming to a boil, we have our cheese, we have our sauce. So now we can add our lemon juice to this, and that's probably, I'd say, 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. All right, we have our pasta right here. Right, see, draining liquid is being reserved in the bottom just in case we need it. All right, I'll put that to the side. We got our cheeses. We have our roux. Okay, so this is boiling. So I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of roux. I'm gonna gently mix this. All right, and I'm gonna turn this down because I don't feel like burning my fingers. All right, but this is beautiful already. All right, now this sauce, we want it thick, but we don't want it too thick, right? So the idea is to allow the pasta, the sauce, and everything to marry, come together, create this beautiful baby, and just be delicious. You know what I mean? Some people like wet mac and cheese. Some people like a pie where you can cut it and it stays its shape. I'm somewhere in the middle, right? I don't mind it cheesy and a little wet, but I also don't mind it being very pie-like. You know what I mean? So we want to be careful with that, okay? So I'll show you what this consistency looks like right now. All right, it's pretty thick. Look at this. We literally just made cheese sauce. Like, you see that color? You see that thickness? It's beautiful. So now let's taste it. Okay, now let's begin with the seasoning of this, right? So we'll add a little bit more salt and some pepper. I love cooking with fresh cracked black pepper. There's nothing like it. All right? You can do white, you can do black pepper. It's totally up to you. All right, we're gonna give this a nice little mix. And if you have any questions while you're watching this, please comment down below. I will be happy to assist you. I will be happy to help you in any way, shape, or form. All right? This is easy. Anybody can do it. Okay, let's taste it again. We'll go with a little bit more salt. All right, just a little bit more salt. Okay, I think that's it. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we have just made a cheese sauce. All right. Okay, so we'll put that to the side. Now what I'll do is, let me get a plate. We're gonna rest our pasta on top of this so we can use the pot, right, to mix our mac and cheese. Okay, I'll pour out my reserved liquid here. Probably not gonna need it, but hey, better safe than sorry. You know what I mean? Mac and cheese back into the pot. Okay. Let's get our wooden spoon. Just sort of break it up a little bit. Normally when you make pasta, of course, you know, you might add a little bit of oil to it just to keep it from sticking. But we're not gonna do any of that because we're making mac and cheese, right? So here we go. Cheese sauce in. All right, cheese sauce in. We give this a gentle mix, right? You want to hear? That's how you know it's ooey gooey, right? So clearly, based on looking at it, it's a little dry, even though it's wet. Yes, you can have that one, babes. So I'm gonna just add almost all of this. We're gonna toss it around just a little bit more. Yes. So the idea here is to make sure that all your mac and cheese is fully coated, and then in between the mac and, well, not the mac and cheese, but in between the macaroni, in between, all right, there's sauce, there's cheesy goodness. Okay, so now what I do is I take my chopped cheddar and I just sprinkle it in like that, right? And then I take my parm and I do the same. All right, this is parm that I freshly grated with my bare hands. All right, I'm gonna get all of that out of there. And then we're gonna give this a nice mix. Right, you see that? Yes, that's what I'm talking about. You know what? We're gonna go with all of it. Yes. Okay, so this is done. We give it a final mix. Now, if you're lazy, you can just put this whole pot into the oven because it's stainless steel and bake your macaroni and cheese, and it'll be totally fine, right? But I'm gonna do 2 pans so that way, you know, I can kind of put it away and use it for another day, use some today, you know what I mean? So we're not serving out of the one container and then having to save some for later, all right? So let me get my containers and we get them ready and we will continue. All right, peeps. We have our baking tray, baking pan with some parchment or wax paper, all right? I try not to use foil paper, and we're gonna just kind of scoop this in. Don't worry about the crumbs, don't worry about the corners, don't worry about, you know, none of that. Just get your pasta in there, nice and packed. All right, we don't want to press it down too hard, right? And then we just leave it be. Okay, I'll move this to the side, and we get the other one going. All right. Yes. I'm telling you, people, this right here is a game changer, right? It's like you can be plant-based as much as you want, all right? It just takes a little bit of patience, and it just takes a little bit of consistency, all right? Because the whole goal here is when you first start doing this, when you first start being plant-based, it might be hard, but don't give up. You know, the whole object of life is to do things that are difficult, because that's where you get the biggest reward. You know what I mean? Not the things that come easy. So I say this to you right now. If you are on a plant-based journey, if you're trying to be healthier, if you're trying to be more plant-based and you found my channel, welcome, all right? I will show you how to make delicious food like you've been making for the past 10, 20, 30, 40 years, all plant-based and just as good and healthier for you, all right? These are about to go into the oven, and then that's it, ladies and gentlemen. The oven is on. I have it at 375. All right, these are gonna go right in, and we're gonna let them bake all the way to the back. We're gonna let them bake for about 20 minutes, and we'll check them. That should be good, you know, and it all really depends on how thick or how thin your sauce is, right? So you wanna be mindful of that. You don't want your sauce to be too thick. You don't want it to be too thin. So that way when you mix it into the macaroni, it gets nice and thick and it coats everything, and then you don't have to bake it too long, you know what I mean? Because literally, why are we baking macaroni and cheese? We're baking it so it sets. When it cools down, it almost solidifies and it becomes one, right? It's not like the box macaroni and cheese where it's super wet and cheesy and you just make it on the stovetop and then you serve it as is, right? Baked macaroni and cheese is baked because you want it to almost become like a pie, right? So that's the whole idea. So like TV magic, we're gonna fast forward and boom, it's gonna be ready like that, all right? Remember to subscribe, turn on your notifications, and comment down below about either something you wanna see next, what you liked about this. If you have any questions, that's why I'm here. Consider me your plant-based guide, all right? Yes, I'll be right back. And like so, voila, mac and cheese is done, out of the oven. Super easy, delicious. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Remember to subscribe, turn on your notifications, and comment, like, and share. Ciao!